now she's contacting you asking for help of how to balance out motherhood. So,
yes.
what else do you see for 2008? We're talking as far as maybe wars, or what is the big thing you see coming this year? You said this is the year of exposure.
Yes.
And I know there's a lot of people out there, including myself, who would like to see whatever the truth is, have it come completely out. Whether it's about aliens, military stuff, whatever's really going on, I say that we as Americans have every right to know that since we pay for it.
Well,
so what do you see coming this year?
As Nicholson put it, you can't handle the truth. Excuse me. No. Before I begin this, I want everybody to understand my idea, or the only reason I do this once a year, is not to create negative energy flow. In fact, my idea is to get people to understand what's coming, be ready for it, and that way they can be safe and whole because they have the knowledge. All right, let's look first at weather, if we can. All right, in the arena of weather, we're still going to continue seeing a nonstop tornado season without hesitation. I can also say that last year was a breeze as far as hurricanes go, but southeastern United States, I would say this coming hurricane season, duck, because you guys are going to get hammered. The other interesting thing is I think we're going to start seeing, if you remember, one of the predictions from last year was seeing tornadoes in places where they don't belong. We indeed did. Bangladesh, Brooklyn. I think we're going to continue to see that trend. And I think what we're seeing is, in actuality, is instead of global warming, we're seeing a shift in weather patterns to soon be taking on their permanent positions. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we start seeing typhoons as opposed to hurricanes. Now, what's the difference? What's the difference between a typhoon and a hurricane? They just rotate in different directions. That's all.
Yep, right. It's the Coriolis effect on the wind. You know, I want to point out something. We have a true metaphysician in the chat room, Stephen. You're going to appreciate this.
Okay.
This person, guest 1392, says, what's going on around the world is much less important than what's going on within each human.
Absolutely, because I was going to save that one for the end. Bless your heart, whoever you are. Because our entire world, our entire society is going through a shift, and it is going to become absolutely and implicitly magnified this year. You see, the external is controlled by the internal, and in a roundabout way, this person's accuracy is phenomenal in this sense. What we're seeing in weather, geologic activity, is primarily due to human cause. We are internally are in turmoil, and what we're seeing externally is the viewing or the release of that turmoil in our world and in our society. So when we talk about prophecies, we generally talk about what's going on externally. And bless this person's heart, because internally is absolutely much more important. If we're going to have an increase in geologic activity, it's because there's an increase in upheaval internally on each individual.
Well, maybe that's what we need to be looking towards as far as predictions for this year, is what's going on, what's going to occur within the human as far as understanding and awareness.
One of the things I pointed out initially in the show, Chad, was the fact that one of the things that we're witnessing in our world is things that defy comprehension. Yes. And when things are defied in our ability to comprehend, they're actually in reality being expanded. So no matter what the upheaval sense is like and internally, it's about expanding you to handle the idea of ETs, to take you into your own divine nature. We're going to see a big shift in that direction, I believe, in the year 2008. Ironically, numerologically, 2008 represents the notion or idea of 10 or brand new direction. I think the reason we saw a lot of what we saw in 2007 is because numerologically it represents the idea of end of cycle, closure, bringing things to a close. And that's why this year there will be so much exposure to the idea of truth, what's real, what's unreal. And it's all in how the individual handles it internally, not externally. You know, we're no longer talking about the macrocosm. We're talking about the microcosm now. We're talking about the birth and the witnessing of the birth of the divine human. And going back to the question on is, will we actually have encounters with ETs this year? You could say the ETs are already present, but what they haven't done yet is awaken to that idea. We're all starseed, and we are slowly coming to that realization that we're not just human. And I hope that answers that person's question.
It answers mine and gives me more, so it must be something valid.
And when I'm doing this, I think everybody should see how they feel about what's being said, not about how they think about what's being said. And interestingly enough, that's exactly where the universe is driving us towards. How do you feel about you? How do you feel about you and your own personal reality? How would you like to shift that reality into a different dynamic? How would you like to move it into a greater you? And I think we're going to see the awakening to that, and I totally believe that's the idea behind the notion of the year of exposure. It's exposing the truth of you. I mean, we can forget the dynamics of politics, the effect of the Clintons, the effect of power and control. This is all about the individual nature, truly awakening to the real ideal, if you will, of individuality. We are not alike.
Let's go to the phones here. Let's go to the phones. 646-716-8138. We always want to hear from our audience, tune in, see what you have to say. Call from the 770 area code. You are on live. My name's Chad, and you're on live with Stephen. And what's on your mind?
Hi, how are you this evening?
Doing wonderful indeed.
Wonderful. I wanted to ask Stephen if he could give a word to light bearers, knowing that we're all at a different place, but when we are conscious, when we have been working on ourselves for years, we still have blind spots. What can he deliver unto us that will let us get a little clearer picture about what is just before us?
Beautiful question.
Thank you.
You have to admit, last year for the light workers and the truly spiritual people has been a real mass struggle.
Oh, yes, I am a witness.
You're not alone, lovely one.
Hell in August.
Hey, I've had my fanny fried so many times this year it's not even funny, and
okay.
I'm glad to be able to have survived the oven.
Oh yes.
But interestingly enough, my lovely bride and myself have been conversing over the last several days as being a real shift toward spiritually oriented people in the last, I'm going to say 24, 48, and even 72 hours. Mm-hmm. It's starting to lighten. This year should be much easier for the spiritually oriented mind. Yes. In fact, what's actually going to occur is those that have been held in reserve, which you've been sensing through the notion of frustration.
Deep.
Yeah. I hear you. But you're going to find yourself starting to experience a sense of freedom, and you have about 30, and this is going to be very bold, 30 to 45 days between now and the release.
Very good. That's a pleasure, because when you're dealing with information coming in from the Galactic Federation, from all of these layers of light that are out there, and you know that you've done your healing for the major issues. You know you're a leader. You know that your ego is serving your soul and not the other way around, and you still don't see yourself moving forward, but it's like you know that you know that you know, and you need someone like you to just let you know that it's still okay. You know?
You're right on target, lovely one. And all I can say to you is hang in there, because when you start getting busy, you better be ready.
I am ready.
Well, because you're not going to get a moment's rest, because you're going to find people coming to you that you don't even know that they're going to be asking you. Well, actually, what they're going to be doing. Just as a minor example, you can be in a grocery line at a grocery store, and the next thing you know, you got somebody telling you their entire life story that you have never met.
That has happened already, and they don't know. And it's usually the people that will say stuff like, I don't know you. Why am I telling you this?
Well, it's because they see you. There's an ancient prophecy that uses this exact phrase. that the truth shall be made known.
Mm-hmm.
Who you are internally shall be shown externally. And because of your due diligence and your work on your own self, what has occurred is people are starting to see the energy and the light of your soul. And because of that, they know that you're not going to condemn them because of what they need to release and or to heal. In fact, the truth is you came in this world to be a healer teacher anyway, and I think you know that.
Thank you so much for your light. I really needed to hear that.
Super.
I am a new Blog Talk host myself, spiritual everything, and I just know that the way the universe opened up the door for people like us to be able to have a platform, state-of-the-art equipment, and we can talk about what we want.